Amen. All right. So in psychology, the term self-esteem is used to describe the emotional and cognitive evaluation of our own worth. So the word esteem is derived from the Latin word estimare, which means to appraise, to value, to rate, to weigh, and to estimate. That's why they say the term self-esteem is used to describe the emotional and cognitive evaluation of our own worth. Self-esteem is an individual's subjective evaluation of their own worth. And I underline the word subjective. Self-esteem is an individual's subjective evaluation of their own worth. Can we say that? Self-esteem
is an individual's subjective evaluation of their own worth.
So it is the opinion we have of ourselves. That's what self-esteem is. It is how we value ourselves, or how we value ourselves reflects the way we think and feel and act. Right? There's a definition that I found by written in a book, Smith and Mackey, I think it's 2007. They define self-esteem as the self-concept, the concept of self. They say it is what we think about the self, as in how we feel about it. So what we think about the self informs how we feel about the self. Hello? And how we feel about the self informs our choices and our actions. Self-esteem is self-concept, which is what we think about ourselves, which informs what we feel about ourselves, which informs how we choose, how we act, how we behave. Self-esteem is the positive or negative evaluation of the self. And self-esteem is subjective. It is not based on reality. It doesn't have much connection with actual talent or ability. So someone's self-esteem is not a function of whether he or she knows how to do something or not. That's why you can find somebody who is very good at something, but still he has low self-esteem. You can find a lady who is very pretty, but she has low self-esteem, so she doesn't even see herself as though she's pretty, even though she's pretty. You can find somebody who is a musician and the whole world is shouting his name. Everybody is the reigning thing, but he's struggling with self-esteem issues. So self-esteem is not a function of how much you have or don't have, even though it can be influenced by it. But it's not always the case that, because I don't have, that's why my self-esteem is poor. No. Or because I have. No. People who are talented, people who are popular, people who you would look at and say they have a wonderful life, sometimes struggle with self-esteem. That's because it is not based on reality. Right? It's subjective. Self-esteem is a function of the state of the mind. Are you following me? Self-esteem is a function of the state of the mind. So wherever your mind is at, that's why it's thoughts, right? Wherever your mind is at, that's where your self-esteem is. Amen. All right. Let's move on. Now, sometimes in literature, you will find that they use self-esteem, self-worth, self-confidence interchangeably. You know, and maybe for those of you who were in the last class, we'll say, but we discussed self-worth. Now we're talking self-esteem. Is it not the same thing? So, this is a debate that is ongoing, right? But there's some distinction between self-worth and self-esteem, and I just wanted to highlight that before we continue. So there's a difference. Self-worth is the recognition that you are a valuable human being who is worthy of love. This is a knowing. right? It's a knowing that I am a human being, and because I am a human being, I am valuable, I am worthy of love, right? That's self-worth. Self-esteem, on the other hand, is what we think, feel, and believe about ourselves. Self-esteem is more of thoughts, right? It stems from more of thoughts. Self-esteem encompasses beliefs and thoughts about oneself. Beliefs like I am beautiful, right? I am smart. But self-worth is greater. Self-worth is recognizing that, yes, I'm beautiful, but I am more than being beautiful. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. That's why when we're doing self-worth, I said, if you define your self-worth based on how you look or what you have, that's a poor way to define your self-worth. The job that you do. So it might be a fact that you're a fine person, but self-worth goes a step higher. Self-worth says, yeah, I'm fine, but my value is not in being fine. Am I making sense to you?
Yes, sir.
My value is not in being fine. I'm a fine person, but my value is not in being fine. That's why if something happens to my fineness, I don't feel devalued. Hello? That's self-worth. But self-esteem is more of thinking about ourselves, right? Thinking about what we are and what we are not. Hello? It's a bit confusing. That's why some people say it's the same thing. Self-worth is deep. It's a deep knowing that I am of value, that I am lovable, necessary to this life, and of incomprehensible worth. So you cannot comprehend my words. You cannot compute it and measure it. Are you following me? Self-esteem is the emotion that thinking about self elucidates. Making sense? So obviously, having a healthy sense of self-worth predisposes you or predisposes one to having a positive self-esteem. Making sense? If you don't understand, it's a class, so if you don't understand, I want you to say you don't understand, right? I'm saying that obviously if you have if your self-worth is great, right? If you have a positive or a good sense of self-worth, then it predisposes you, right, to having a positive estimation of yourself, which is self-esteem. But doesn't always happen. It's not always the case. And that's because self-esteem is subjective, right? Self-worth is really not subjective. You might not know how much or how valuable you are, right? And that's when we say recognizing your self-worth. You might not know how valuable you are, but it does not negate the fact that you are valuable. It's just you that is ignorant of your value. Do you understand? Okay. But the fact that you have you have an understanding of your self-worth does not mean that every time and always your self-esteem is up there. That's because self-esteem can apply to specifics, a specific attributes, right? And then it could be a global thing. When I say global, that's the whole of you. So a specific attribute, for example, like say, I believe I'm a good writer, right? My self-esteem might be high or low as far as that is concerned. And then it could be a general thing. So that's why they say that everybody experiences low self-esteem at some point. That's why counselors and psychologists say that, because today my self-esteem might be high when it comes to one particular thing, and another thing I might be feeling funny about myself. Do you understand?